Oh, wow. Hey, what's up? What's up? Pura vida, mi gente. How you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in once again. Appreciate you guys being here. Okay. We're gonna get it started. Yeah. A lot of people get the notification late or they don't even get it at all. So yeah, I get it. People rather see gossip and stuff. It's all good. People rather be entertained than taught something. You know what I mean? It's all good. It's all good. We keep rolling out the videos. We keep debunking the official history. We keep showing things that need to be followed up on. We keep proving America's a true old world. This is just another thing here that we got, right? Another study people have done and things they found and things that don't really make it to the mainstream and things that get swept under the rug or just, oh, it's not real, it's fake. And they try to, um, how do you say? They try to like kind of like sugarcoat and create their conjectures and why they think we're finding these things here, and they just leave it like that, right? But I hope you guys are doing good. I got my two bodyguards right here. My two bodyguards right here, and I got my reading glasses, so we good. We good. Please like and share. Make sure you're subscribed. A lot of you guys ain't subscribed. I mean, I guess a lot of subscribers all the time, guys. Like every day I get subscribers, but I don't know. I don't know where they are. They never here. They never here, really. Um, they over there watching other people, 10-minute videos and stuff, or even 5-hour ones. It's just people talking. It's all good about things we've shown already. I heard somebody was talking about me, another YouTuber. He says he was just joking. I haven't heard it, so I don't know. But if you guys know, let me know and what the timestamp in that video is. If you know what I'm talking about. It was recently. Yeah, people mimicking me. Yeah, people brave enough to do that. Yeah. All right. No worries, guys. Let's just go ahead and get started. Thanks for being here. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you haven't. Share the video. All right, help me out. Help me out. Get the info out there, you know? We got iShow Speed, we got Mr. Beast, we got so much distraction, things that are, I mean, they're entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, he's pretty funny and so, but don't everybody want to learn to? And the truth is, most people don't care about history, guys. That's why we keep repeating it. Most people don't care about history. Most people just like sensationalism. Uh, like how I did the thumbnail and like, oh, underwater, 12,000, just to get you over here. Just to get you over here. All right. Just to get you over it. But I always got content. I don't just clickbait. I don't just create thumbnails and these headlines just to clickbait and get views. Like I actually showing it. I'm proving, I'm showing you. Like today we're gonna talk about something and it's part of the history. I'm sorry, the playlist. Let me just get that open real quick. History or myth that I got, I kind of been working on. We're like on part 31. What are these videos? These are videos kind of like most of them are things that I can't really, really, really prove, but there's so much corroboration and info and stuff that you could only conclude certain things based on everything I'm showing you, based on all the research we've done, you know. Um, I mean, you decide for yourself. That's why I call it history or myth, right? We got a lot of good videos. We got the Piece of Bird. We got the Rockwall from Rockwall, Texas. We got the Phelps brothers, the real in person. Well, not the in person, but these are actual people who are the white Lincoln and the white pictures. Yeah. Go watch the video. We got giant stuff here. We got the Book of Mormon golden tablet stuff. We got an ancient floor, 200,000 year old in Oklahoma. We got the Burroughs Cave stuff. We got forbidding ancient underground tunnels. We're actually gonna go over this one today, real quick. The Mississippi Great Wall again, just because it correlates. You'll see. We got some stuff on top. We got a lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff here that, you know, it's thought provoking. So all my videos ain't like this, right? I'm not here just to make you think. Only on this kind of series. Only on this series. Most of my videos inform you and it's not about just thinking. So We're gonna do that today again. We're doing part 31. You know, we're gonna be talking about what somebody discovered off the coast of Louisiana. Okay. 1 second, guys. All right. So we're gonna real quick go to WWLTV channel. What's that? CBS. So a little excerpt from hold on, right here. Here we go. Hold on. All right. Bear with me. What's up? What's up? You know, best on the internet. You know, I'm glad you think that. I'm glad you think that, but thousands of people don't. Thousands of people rather watch other things. People debate, entertain, gossip, things like that, you know? But we're gonna do our thing here. Okay. Let me just get this a little closer. Okay, here we go. We're gonna hear this real quick, okay? And then we'll get on to the rest of the stuff. This is just a little news report on what we're gonna be talking about today. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it.
An amateur archaeologist says he's discovered the ruins of an ancient civilization off the coast of St. Bernard Parish.
He claims there are large mounds underwater that may have once been the site of a lost city thousands of years ago.
Paul Murphy reports local fishermen have long talked about strange and unexplained things happening in that area.
The Chandeleur Islands are a chain of uninhabited barrier islands located in the Gulf of Mexico, 50 miles east of New Orleans. But 12,000 years ago, before a dramatic sea level rise at the end of the last ice age, this area may have been dry land.
3 different search areas.
Retired architect and amateur archaeologist George Gillet believes the site, now underwater, was once home to an ancient civilization. He dubbed the city Crescentis.
What's down there is hundreds of buildings that are covered with sand and silt and that are geographically related to the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Giza is a city in northern Egypt where ancient pyramids and the Sphinx are located. Gillet claims to have found mysterious mounds of granite under Chandeleur Sound. Granite is not native to Louisiana or Mississippi.
Somebody floated a billion stones down the Mississippi River and then assembled them outside of what would later become New Orleans.
Gillet has spent nearly 50 years studying the site. He produced underwater sonar images of what he claims are remnants of major buildings, including a large pyramid,
which produces an electromagnetic energy that's incredible. And it is apparently 280 feet tall.
St. Bernard Parish shrimper Ricky Robin says he's experienced the energy firsthand. Robin claims the compass on his boat spun completely around near the area where Gillet pinpointed the tip of the pyramid. And that's not all.
Everything will go out on your boat, all your electronics, like if you was in the Bermuda Triangle. See, that's exactly what we got here. It's actually right here.
Robin took Gillet on 4 excursions to the site. He says for years, local fishermen have talked about catching strange square rocks in their nets near the Chandeleur Islands.
I thought it was, I figured right away that's pieces of the pyramid, you know? And because right around where that compass spun.
There are other theories about the rocks. One study by Texas A&M in the late 1980s suggests the masses are from shipwrecks or piles of ballast stones from Spanish or French vessels. The stones may have been dumped overboard to lighten the weight of ships stuck on sandbars or entering shallower waters en route to New Orleans. Gillet said some of the artifacts collected at the site tell a different story.
This is architecture. This is not ballast. This is a piece of architecture that's set like this. This is the outer surface, and this was a rain gutter.
People who believe in the granite mounds say that there is enough proof that something is out there in the water, but how it got built, by who and why are still a mystery that in some respects is beyond explanation.
The older people, yeah, we've seen a lot of things, yeah. There's possibility. It could be God knows what.
All I know is that somebody built a city 12,000 years ago, stuck out in Chandeleur. Whether or not they had somebody on their shoulder who flew in with a UFO, I don't know. All I know is that they left a whole bunch of granite rocks out there.
Gillet has visited the site 44 times. He hopes future dives, modern sonar technology, and satellite imaging will help him unlock some of the secrets now trapped below 300 feet of silt, sand, and water in Chandeleur Sound. Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News.
A former LSU archaeology professor commented on the findings in an article 10 years ago in the Advocate paper. He said that rather than something mystical, the site might be an attempt to create an artificial reef in the 1940s by dumping barge loads of building materials in the water. The professor declined to be interviewed for our story.
Okay. All right. Hold on, guys. So, hold on. So what's the important thing about what they said in that report, and I'm going to read it again, is that the actual experts, right? They went to go make sure, right? And they admitted, yeah, there's some granite stones there. Like there's not supposed to be there. It's not native to the part, and how did they get there? They don't know. So they start saying, conjectures. They start assuming, they start trying to influence and gatekeep. All right, it says here real quick, the truth behind the 12,000-year-old underwater city discovered of Louisiana's coast. Okay, so let me just read real quick. This vast expanse of the ocean holds many secrets. Hold on. Okay. And even today, more than 80% of its depths remain unexplored. Over the years, underwater archaeologists have made remarkable discoveries, uncovering ancient ruins, and prehistoric artifacts that provide glimpses into our distant past. Among these remarkable findings, one claim stands out: the existence of a 12,000-year-old underwater city off the coast of Louisiana. All right, here's an image of the Chandeleur Islands, Chandeleur, which is barely an island. Like you can barely, well, yeah, it must flood a lot, but it's like barely above the water, And it says, while some experts remain skeptical, the intriguing theories put forward by amateur archaeologist George Gillet continue to captivate the imagination. So what mysteries surround this enigmatic underwater city? Is this really an ancient city lost to time? For discovery of the ancient city, the claims of George Gillet. All right, he's a guy that, spent a lot of his life researching this, going down there and just gathering all the info and letting people know what he is finding. And that's when the people went to verify. They did find all that stuff, all these granite slabs, all this looks like megalithic stuff, guys. And they try to, like sugarcoat, they try to kind of write it off. It says George Gillet, retired architect and self-proclaimed amateur archaeologist, has dedicated nearly 50 years of his life studying the alleged underwater city near Chandeleur. His hypothesis suggests that this submerged city, which he refers to as Crescentis, predates well-known ancient civilizations like the Inca, Maya, and Aztec. Gillet's claims have garnered attention due to his assertion that the city contains a pyramid, drawing parallels to the iconic Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. So here's some images of the granite mounds. So again, the experts have confirmed these things are down there. They just don't know where to come. They start saying, probably, we assume, maybe a shipwreck, maybe the Spanish colonists, I'm talking about the conquistadors, they start saying, why would they draw, where are they getting granite? Isn't granite heavy? Like, where are they getting it from? You can't just, oh, maybe this and then not prove it. Get what I'm saying? That leaves it open for anything to be possible. The foundation of Gillet's theory lies in the discovery of granite stones by local fishermen near the Chandeleur Islands. The presence of granite in an area where it does not naturally occur raises questions about its origin. These peculiar square rocks found intermittently in fishing nets have fueled speculation about their connection to Gilead's underwater city. The fisherman's account of encountering strange compass behavior and electromagnetic energy near the alleged pyramid site further add to the intrigue. All right, so just like the Bermuda Triangle, something happens there with the compass and certain things, right? Some weird phenomena, right? That's what they're saying. Evidence assessing sonar images and ruins. Gili has produced underwater sonar images that he believes depict discernible ruins of major buildings, including the pyramid within the supposed ancient city. However, some experts have expressed skepticism, suggesting that the sonar images could be misinterpreted geological formations or natural features, or might be, could be, or could be, possibly, maybe, could be. Is that facts, guys? So these are your experts gatekeeping. Nothing to see here, guys. Don't worry about it. It's probably just some natural features, even though they admit no, they're not. Like they literally say, yeah, those are granites. It says alternative explanation. Listen. So this is what I'm saying. If they have an alternative explanation, that means they're admitting that there is granite blocks there, megalithic things down there, right? So it says, while Gillies' theory captivates the imagination, several alternative explanations have been put forth to challenge the notion of submerged city. A Texas A&M study from the 1980s proposed that the granite stones might have originated from shipwrecks or ballast or ballast stones discarded by Spanish and French vessels. This is what I'm saying. Or they're over here guessing. They can't explain it. They can't say, no, he's lying. There's no granite down there. They find, they see it. It comes up. So they try to explain it away. So the whole thing about it's a natural feature, they debunk it themselves because they admit they're trying to explain why they're there. That's what I'm saying. Granite will sink wooden ships. That's what I'm saying. Like, how heavy is it? It's a lot, guys. It's not just one little piece. The need for further investigation, despite Judy's dedication and the attention his claims have attracted the scientific community, remains divided on the existence of the 12,000-year-old underwater city. Many experts argue that more comprehensive research, including deep-sea exploration, historical record analysis, and advanced imaging techniques is necessary to provide conclusive evidence and unravel the mystery surrounding the alleged city. All right. So, why haven't they done that then? Why don't you do it? Why haven't you done that then? All right. Oh, you rather fund wars. You rather put money into other things. You rather put money into Juneteenth and fake holidays and, yeah, fake history, false orchestrated wars and all that, right? They rather put money on that. They don't want to have to rewrite the history they told us in school. Archaeology professor Rob Mann highlights the importance of studying historical records and newspapers. We're going to do that today. And we're going to go over some newspaper and records, okay, to shed light on the purpose and origin of the granite stones dumped near the Chandelier Islands. Now dumped. But look what they're saying. Who dumped them? This is what I'm saying. You see how these are your gatekeepers. These are your archaeologists. Like, oh yeah, dumped. Make you think somebody actually dropped those there. When? Who did that? They have known for decades, for sure. Understanding why these stones were brought to the area could provide valuable clues about their significance and refute or support Gillies' claim. Okay? Gillies' claim. All right. So that's what they're saying, right? That's what they're saying. What's going on, right? Let me just go ahead and pull up this article right here. All right, we're gonna get it like it's the first time. We're gonna get this like it's the first time. We've read this article. I wasn't gonna read the whole thing today, but I think I have a lot of new subscribers. I'm gonna read the whole thing today. Even though it's gonna talk about the Maya, it's gonna mention something about Louisiana, which correlates with what we're kind of talking about today. So, all right, bear with me. I'm gonna read this real quick. And if you haven't heard me read this article yet, this is major drop right here. This is a newspaper, right? From 1896. And all of you guys who know this article, been following me for years, about 6, 7, 8 years, like you know what this article is. Maybe you forgot. So let's do a refresher. So we're in the Kansas City Journal, the newspaper, right? October 12, 1896. One more. Says prehistoric man. The human race and its dispersions. How long has the earth been peopled, and when and where was the beginning? When and where was the beginning? The article A Prehistoric Battle, which appeared in April last, was called out many letters of inquiry. Time will not allow individual answers, so this attempt must suffice for all inquirers up to date. During the past 10 years, many phases of this subject have been discussed through the columns of the journal. But in order to bring the facts before the minds of readers that they may the more fully appreciate the subject, it will be necessary to use some of the data that have appeared during the past years. The exact time and place of man's first appearance on the earth will probably never be known to a certainty. So far as known, no recognized authority has ever attempted to give us any light on this part of the subject. Well, that's not true. Like a lot of, well, 1896 he's saying, but now we already know that after the 1900s, they created their fake history, out of Africa theories, all that. So yes, people did try to gatekeep and create a whole fake origin to humans. Yeah, it has happened. Individual writers frequently arrange a few isolated facts or supposed facts into a sequence for the sole purpose of proving this or that theory. 9/10 of them have assumed that man originated in southern or southwestern Asia. What Asia? There is absolutely nothing to prove that assumption. Here was your proof. It is much more probable that man originated in the present North Frigid Zone. The Earth first cooled within this zone. Within it are found the remains of tropical plants and animals. The elephant, rhinoceros, and many other tropical animals were once abundant in Siberia, Lapland, and Alaska, right? And we know we got some old maps of Antarctica with no ice, no snow, and it shows mountains, it shows animals, it shows people in fires, you know. Hey, it is not necessary to go more than 14 miles from Kansas City to prove this. In a bed of glacial drift near Courtney in this county, Jackson, are relics that show the handiwork of man. These relics are not abundant, but several have been found near the middle of the deposit. Among these may be mentioned a rude, unpolished shirt. Let me know if the music's too loud, guys. Or so-called flint pipe. If you were to find a mound or earth and also find an old shoe or a fragment of pottery within or under it, you would be forced to conclude that man existed before this mound was built. Yeah, right. That's logic, right? Here are relics of man within it. Now, this is what we are forced to conclude with regards to many of the glacial deposits found throughout the north half of the northern hemisphere, all right? So just like yesterday's video where we're talking about these bones they be finding and these deposits that are, you know, geologists will say, hey, this is from 200,000 years old, 50,000 years old, 30,000 years old, right? Hey, they're being found. This is what they're talking about. They're out of place objects. And these things become forbidding archaeology because they don't go with the mainstream narratives they teach us in school, you know? So these things just get swept out under the carpet, become like tabloid conspiracy, and nobody takes them serious ever. But we have shown so many examples of these findings, of these discoveries in the Americas, that they cannot really deny. The science is there, everything is there. It's just being gatekept, like it's not being brought to you in school and not taken as a serious thing officially. But it has been proven. Okay. Now, this is what we are, okay, so in the vicinity of Kansas City are numerous glacial deposits, principally sand and gravel. What are the proofs that they are truly glacial? They contain granite, essonite, quartzite, and many other mountain rocks that do not occur in Kansas City, listen, nor within hundreds of miles of it, just like the granite they're finding there in Louisiana. Nearly every deposit is rich in free gold, but the gold has been triturated so fine from its long journey that it is not practicable to mine it. The deposit mentioned above 14 miles east of the city yields from $1.50 to $2 per cubic yard, right? This is in 1896. Some of the glacial deposits of Howard County, 70 miles east of here, yield twice as much gold. During Governor Woodson's administration in the 70s, our legislature appropriated $5,000, which the Geological Survey used in testing these deposits for gold. Again, this is in 1896, 5,000, that must have been a lot more now. Again, these deposits contain an occasional piece of caltonite, the famous Indian pipestone, which is found at only one place in the world, and that is several hundred miles north of Kansas City. In fact, there is ample proof that these deposits are of glacial origin, and that man existed, listen, before these deposits were made, and consequently before the glacial epoch. Listen. I mean, we found so many examples of this, right, in different parts of the Americas. You know, we got so many videos, guys. Even on this series alone, the history of myth, right? When was the glacial epoch? The southern hemisphere is now going through a glacial epoch. There have been many such epochs. They alternate between the northern and southern hemispheres. The precision of the equinoxes from year to year is such that one portion of the Earth, either in the extreme north or south, is gradually turned away from the sun and becomes glaciated. All right, Dodge the hijack with their space talk, but precision of the equinox still plays. It's just not in a spinning ball theory, right? Not like how they explain it. There is a pattern. There is an order, and that's why we are able to tell time and certain things with the stars and by observing astronomy, right? The alternative, okay, so the precision, okay, we got that. Says this precession causes a cycle in 28,600 years and a grand cycle in from 286,000 to 411,000 years, all right? So back in the day when I read Graham Hancock's book, Fingerprints of the Gods, I learned this. I learned about precision of the equinoxes, and it was very important to understand that because there's epics, right? So each, there's like epics that are like 2,000-3,000 years old. So we got the Pisces age, we got the Aquarius. So now we're supposed to be in the Aquarius age, you know, and so on and so on. So that's what they're kind of talking about. The sun supposedly rises with that in the background, but again, the sun's going around us, not the other way around. Okay. During one of these grand cycles, there will be a glacial epoch or ice period in each hemisphere around its polar region and extending from 1/2 to 1/3 of the distance from its pole to the equator. The deposits near Kansas City were no doubt made during the last glacial epochs in the northern hemisphere. According to the calculations of astronomers, and they do not differ much, the last glacial epoch in this part of the world commenced about 241,000 years ago and ended about 81,000 years ago. Man has lived then in this locality not less, listen, than 1/4 to 250,000 years. Listen, all right, with an exclamation point. This is what they're writing in 1896. Why would they say all this stuff? In Switzerland and some other parts of Europe, he has lived equally as long. I have examined thousands of rude flints or shirt knives collected in Europe, Australia, and throughout the United States. Strange to say, they show from 8 to 10 characteristics in common. My friends, Mr. T.J. Tiswell of Independence, Missouri, discovered most of these similarities. I have added 2 or 3 since he first called my attention to them 9 years ago. This discovery, and scores of others that might be correlated with it, prove the unity of the human race. Under similar conditions, man has produced like results from Siberia to Patagonia, that's down in Argentina, South America, and from Australia to Alaska. The earliest races were no doubt nomadic and never became sufficiently centralized until after the last glacial epoch to enable any of them to attain a very high degree of civilization. Now, this part is conjecture. They don't know that part, you know, like who you're saying there was people there. How do you know they weren't civilized, you know? Are there could their traces be seen, like, or are all this stuff buried? We're gonna talk about, like, literally, like what we're talking about today. We're also gonna mention that wall from Mississippi, right? We're gonna get back into that. Like I'm saying, how much of this is under us, and we're just over it. Prior to that time, so far as discovered, they produced no polished tools nor implements. They attempted nothing that indicates a high order of intellect. Before the glacial epoch, there does not seem to have been any focal point at which the probably scattered tribes ever collected themselves. It is doubtful whether fire had come into general use from the condition of the bones of animals that have been found in close proximity to human remains and relics in some of the caves of Europe. It is inferred that the pre-glacial man ate much animal food and that it was devoured in a raw state. Hmm, maybe, maybe not. After the Ice Age, there seems to have been a number of centers of civilization. It is probable that there have been dozens and scores of dispersion points from which emigration has diverged and overrun a considerable portion of the habitable world. After correlating all the data that have been made public to the present time, right? So think about what he's saying right now. He's done his research, but also all the research we've done. So the same thing, I'm going to say the same thing. After correlating all the data and all the research we've done, guys, that has been made public on my channel or whatever, anybody else's channel to the present time, the conclusion is unavoidable. Listen, that the oldest civilization was in Yucatan in Central America, huh? Future discoveries may change this conclusion. It seems that Egypt was first peopled by immigrants from Yucatan. In reverse, so-called Egypt. That's fake Egypt. Egypt was here. So yes, same people. Space will allow only a few facts that clearly indicate the truth of this assertion. First, the pyramids of Yucatan are some of them much larger than any found in Egypt, that of Cheops not accepted. Second, the pyramids of Egypt bear structural evidences of having been modeled on those of Yucatan, notably of the one at Coloma, which covers 23 acres. Hey, Too Thick Rick, appreciate you, man. Wow, thank you, man. Much love. Third, the early Egyptians and the Mayas of Yucatan had the same system of reckoning time, but the Mayas developed a system that was far superior and which antedates that of Egypt. The calendar, the zero, all that, guys. They copied us. Fourth, the Mayas manufactured a cement that was of the same material as of ancient Egypt, all right? And right here, that was a major drop right there in that little paragraph. Shout out to Paul Cook. What we talking about, geopolymer? We're talking about that a lot of these stones that we thought were megalithic and cut, they were actually cement. They were poured. It's a type of cement a lot stronger than our modern cement that the ancients had, guys. And that Giza over there, that's what that is. That's cement. That's much more recent. Shout out again to Paul. He went over there and broke it down. He's showing you all the cement. He's showing you it's not megalithic. He's literally showing you. Now, when you go to Sacsayhuaman, right, and Cusco, you see these huge boulder rocks. That's megalithic. That's not cement, guys. That's not poured cement, nothing like that. So geopolymer though. I know polymer, but geopolymer, right? So again, shout out to Paul. Paul, check it out, Paul. Look, they're telling this. They're saying the same thing you saying, man. There was cement in the ancient world. The Romans didn't invent it. They try to say Romans kind of started. Nah, it goes way older than that. So a lot of structures in the world are literally cement, guys. They're not megalithic. 6, the art of both countries, as displayed in their ceramics and architecture, is of the same type or school, that of Yucatan being much more highly developed. Okay, and again, we've shown numerous examples of this. We got so many videos, saying the same thing, showing the same thing. This is ancient Egypt. That's why this is the true old world. Other facts could be easily given, but let these for the present suffice. As the rays disperse from Yucatan, right? Let me just go up. So as people left the Americas, he's saying, all right, was it just Yucatan? But that's what he's saying. But anyways, so they went to many arts were lost. As people left, many arts were lost, and finally civilization became practically a thing of the past. We talking about a reset? What are we talking about here? The Mayas, being sun worshippers, tossed the hijack, as were nearly all or quite all of the most ancient races. Again, tossed the hijack. Much attention was given to astronomy. This science was highly developed. That's not why they That's not because they didn't go into astronomy because they worship the sun. That's where you getting this from. They left a splendid literature, most of which was destroyed by the Spaniards at the time of and immediately after the conquest of 1510 and 1521. But much remains today. From what survives, we learn that these ancient people based their historical epics on astronomical phenomena. A certain thing occurred so many days before or after a total eclipse of the sun, which was on a given day, year, and hour. Astronomers of today can calculate these eclipses and verify these historical data. They say that these eclipses occurred on the days and hours mentioned and that they were visible in Yucatan. Now, there is a connected written history of the country that reaches back about 9,700 years. Back of this are many interesting traditions and some glimpses of a splendid mythology. Mythology, right? What is mythology? We've broken this down. A lot of that mythology is talking about ancient Americans or ancient places in America. According to one of these traditions, a portion of the Mayas, listen to this. This is going to relate to what we're talking about today. Pay attention, guys. According to one of these traditions, a portion of the Mayas, about 40,000 years ago, rebelled against the ruling king and finally withdrew to the north. This branch seems to have passed along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico and to have reached Louisiana and the lower Mississippi Valley between 30,000 and 35,000 years ago. Listen, space will allow but little in the way of proof of this last assertion. A few years ago, some caissons were sunk for bridge piers on Bayou La Forge in Louisiana. At a depth of about 62 feet, sorry guys, got an interruption, my fault. Sorry, at a depth of about 62 feet, some graves were uncovered. They had been made on the sandy beach of the Gulf of Mexico and had been covered with oyster shells. The present coast is about 110 miles from the point. The average thickness of the freshwater mud, so far as surveyed, is not less than 40 feet from this point to the Gulf Coast. Taking the average amount of solid matter, mud, that has annually passed down the Mississippi River to form these delta and Gulf Plain, and we have a measuring unit. United States government observations, listen, made daily since 1872, if I remember correctly, gives the annual amount at 57,872,000 cubic yards per year. By this unit, these graves are at least 29,000 years old. So this is a whole other discovery near where we're going to be talking about today, but not the same place, but literally in the same coast, right? This case, La Forge. They're finding ancient graves that are under, and this part is underwater now. And for that to have happened where people were actually burying people where that was above water, he's saying at least 30,000 years ago. At least 30,000 years ago. Am I still muted, guys? I'm not muted. You guys can hear me, right? No, I unmuted already. So, are you guys paying attention? So we're talking about somewhere in Louisiana here. They found evidence. Seems people were there 30,000 years ago. Today we're talking about something 12,000 years ago. So, hey, this is that way after this. That what they're finding in the Chandeleur Islands is, a lot younger, but it's all in the same area, right? From the lower Mississippi, these people spread over much of the central portions of the North American continent, especially throughout the valleys of the Ohio and Mississippi in the Lake region. They seem to have been the original mound builders. Many thousands of years after they left Yucatan, there was another great influx of people from Yucatan that passed through The center of the continent, from these last descended the so-called Toltecs, Aztecs, and their modern successors, the Pueblos, Unis, Moquis, etc. All right. So I just wanted to read this part right here, right? I didn't want to just read the paragraph. I wanted to at least start from the beginning so you guys can get the drop again. This newspaper's telling you America's a true old world, but they also have a drop here on Louisiana, right? So, all right, we got one side here, 30,000 years old, graves they're finding in under the water in Louisiana off the coast, guys. Okay. All right. So now I just want to go over some things that we have gone over before. All right. Real quick. It's a 20-minute little refresh, right? Since we're talking about Louisiana. Right. So you guys know I just recently, not recently, but maybe in the last year, I did a video on the oldest mountains in the world. All right. Look, over 11,000 years old. We're talking about this site today on the water's 12,000, right? That's what the guy is saying. So look, it's matching. There is an ancient civilization here. There's evidence in Louisiana, in these areas, not just here, guys, but today's topic is Louisiana. So here too. Okay, don't be biased and say, oh, we're the first here. No. A lot of places in the Americas showing evidence of old and people inhabiting these areas a long time ago. Okay, so we're gonna get this drop like it's the first time again. Author Days jumping all over though. Hey, Jay is catch up on the videos, man. We're reading a newspaper, bro. Don't worry about what somebody said in 1896. They are corroborating what we have proven. America's a true old world, guys. A lot older than what they tell us. Civilization's a lot older than what they tell us. And the first ones came out of here, okay? Period. Let's go. Let's get this like it's the first time, all right? Make sure you guys can hear it. Let me know. This is the article right here. This is from the American Journal of Science from volume 322 or 322 of June 2022. This is very recent, guys. It's not that old. Page 795, 827 on the American Journal of Science, volume 322, okay? And the title of this is the LSU campus mounds, with construction beginning at 11,000 before the present, are the oldest known extant man-made structures in the Americas. In Louisiana. And look at all the people involved. You got Brooks B. Elwood, Sophie Warney, Rebecca A. Hawkworth, Suzanne H. Elwood, Jonathan H. Tompkin, Samuel J. Bentley, DeWitt H. Broad, and Jeffrey C. Clayton against fair use. We're just going to go ahead and do commentary on the studies and review this scientific work here on the oldest mounds in Americas, possibly in the world. Possibly, show me any older mounds anywhere else in the world. Show me. It says here, abstract. Radiocarbon dating of the two LSU campus mounds indicates that the construction of one, Mound B, began at 11,000 years ago before the present, making Mound B the oldest known and intact man-made structure in the Americas. The age analysis presented here are based on 31 sea dates. The older, deeper parts of both of the LSU campus mounds contain many thin, burnt ash lenses, suggesting that the mounds may have been used for ceremonial or cremation purposes. These ash layers are composed mainly of phytoliths, biosilicate, structural compounds in plants that remained after burning of these plants. Analysis of the abundant ash lenses indicates that the plants burned were mainly C4 hydrophilic grasses that are dominated by 90 to 98% reed and cane plants. The ash layers also contain microscopic fragments of burned large mammal osteons or bones. The layers of reed and cane phytoliths containing very small numbers of osteons are indicative of very hot fires. This finding supports the argument that the fires were used for ceremonials or cremations. No ash beds later than 5,000 before the present are known from either Louisiana State University campus, Mount A or B. Although at 800 before the present years, a wooden post, now charcoal, was planted and burned on the top of Mount B. It appears that construction of Mount B began during the climate amelioration that followed the Younger Dryas climate event, which ended at 11,700 years before the present. You guys hear that? Construction of Mount A appears to have begun at 9,500 years ago before the present. Building of the LSU campus mound shows a hiatus when climate deteriorated during the 8,200 climate event. Okay, you guys hear that? Which defined the end of the Holocene Greenlandian stage and the beginning of the North Grippian stage. Because we're talking about ages, huh? Resets. Construction began again at 7,500 before the present, when both mounds continued construction until 6,000 years ago before the present, with one apparently anomalous date in Mound A at 5,100 years before the present. So it says here, introduction. The LSU campus mound site, located on the Louisiana State University campus, consists of two conical earthen structures, each about 5.5 meters in height and built by indigenous people upon the Pleistocene age. Lowest terrace, all right, on which the core of the LSU campus has been constructed. They built right over this. You guys think that's right? The crest of LSU campus mounds, A northern and B southern, are located 56 meters apart. Construction on Mount B appears to have begun as early as 11,000 years before the present. 11,000 years ago. Sigma refers to standard deviation. At the one level, the standard deviation is 68.2%, while at second level, it is 95.4%. This means that if 14 or carbon-14 age has a plus or minus 30-year range at one, this is science stuff, right? When 100 samples are analyzed on the same exact carbon, 68.2 of the time the sample would produce similar results within plus or minus 30 years. Okay, so you guys know, I know a lot of you guys like the science talk, and a lot of you probably majoring and stuff like this, so you might find this really interesting. You know, you can definitely pause and take a screenshot and see all the work. I just want to show you guys this. Look at all the sources being used, all this people quoting this and supporting this, backing this up, all the departments, all the different universities. Okay, so at the time Mount building began 11,000 years before the present, the Pleistocene lowest terrace bordered on what was then the Mississippi River Valley estuary, which has a modern analog in Mobile Bay, Alabama. The LSU campus mounds are just two of the 800 mounds known from Louisiana and were shown in the initial LSU 1927 campus construction plan as an isolated area intended for preservation. Thus, the LSU campus mounds were not destroyed, as were many other ancient mounds in Louisiana, including the Montesano Mounds, located 12 kilometers north of the LSU campus, with dates ranging from 7,500 to 4 or 5,000 years before the present. Those are really old too. Those second ages. The LSU campus mounds are listed on the National Register of Historic Places as the LSU campus mounds. So it says early known dates for mounds in North America. So the oldest previously dated and well-documented published dates for mounds built by indigenous people in North America are from the Montesano mounds discussed above, with ages from 7,500 to 4,956 before the present. So that was the oldest they had accepted so far, which was also in Louisiana. And also the 5,500 before the present date from the Watson Break Mound complex in northeast Louisiana. We've gone over that mound, a site at which the indigenous mounds have not been destroyed. Older dates ranging from circa 900 to 7,300 before the present have been reported for mounded shell features in Tennessee that were excavated during the Depression in the 1930s. And today, these are generally submerged under the Kentucky Lake and are not easily accessible. Wow, they flooded these mounds that were pretty old, right? Almost 7,500 years old in Tennessee. Huh. And these are what now under the Kentucky Lake. They probably built a dam. They flooded the indigenous town there and the mounds. You see that, guys? All right, guys. So next we're gonna move on to Poverty Point, right? Real quick, get a little expert at this too. This is another video I got, right? Again, this is in Louisiana. This is archaic. This is ancient as well. Very advanced. Very advanced, all right? Let me just go ahead and get this like it's the first time as well, okay? So real quick, you know, with those mounds, those are the oldest mounds in the world. The one in LSU, like, show me any other mound that's over 11,000 years old in the world. They try to say the oldest in the Americas, and they gatekeep because they should say the oldest in the world. Where else is there mounds older than that? I'm still waiting. Since I did this video, I'm still waiting for people to show me an older one. And I'm still waiting. Come on, guys, do it right now. Google it. Whoever's denying this, show me what's older. What other mound in the world is older than 11,000 years old? Okay, that's it. Oldest in the world. That's one of the oldest, right? We got a lot of oldest in America of a lot of things. That's one of the things, mounds, yeah. So, Poverty Point, right? Let's get this like it's the first time.
The discovery of prehistoric earthworks in rural Louisiana has revolutionized historians' view of the evolution of society in the New World. Over the last 50 years, archaeologists have explored and excavated numerous Louisiana earthwork sites. Located in the northeastern part of the state, the site at Poverty Point Plantation includes some of the largest American earthworks of the prehistoric period.
In the lower Mississippi Valley, there's a long history of earthwork development that may last probably 7,000 years, maybe 6,500 years. And of all places in the United States, this is the one area where the earthworks first came about.
All right, so we continue in the book from the Reader's Digest, Mysteries of the Ancient Americas, the New World Before Columbus. Go to the part of the book they're calling here Stirrings of New World Civilizations. And we're going to be talking about the people of Poverty Point. Close to 3,000 years ago, enormous and unique earthworks were constructed in the lower Mississippi Valley by a forgotten people. Strangely enough, their identifying hallmark is small clay ball they made to use in cooking. No one knows for sure how Poverty Point acquired its name, but it is said that in the 1840s and 1850s, the settlers at this site on Bayou Macon in northeastern Louisiana suffered crop failures and outbreaks of fever and were in dire distress. Coming to their rescue, the federal government sent supplies by boat to the settlement because there were no roads or railroads leading there. And after a time, the landing became known as Poverty Point. The name stuck, and a century or so later, it was applied to the culture that was centered there some 3,000 years ago. All right, and this is according to their, minimum. It is rather modest legacy that this obscure culture left behind. An assortment of flint blades and tools, flint dart points, fashioned in many shapes and sizes, along with stone weights, to send them hurtling toward their targets, and 100 or so small clay figurines, all but a handful of them broken and headless. There are also shards of stone vessels, exquisite examples of lapidary work, fragments of pottery, and outnumbering all these, a vast collection of small fired clay objects that were shaped by ancient hands to be heated through for use in baking pits. If that were all that remained to tell about the Poverty Point people who once lived in the lower Mississippi Valley, there would be little to inspire interest. But some 2.5 millennia after their decline, the most spectacular accomplishment of these little-known people remains earthworks that spread out along the curving banks of the Bayou Macon. So vast are the Poverty Point earthworks that from ground level they can hardly be recognized as a man-made formation. But from the air, the eye can detect the outline of several long hummocks in a formal semicircular configuration of enormous proportions. It is the incredible mark of a culture ahead of its time, a prehistoric people who were not yet engaged in agriculture but who probably cultivated gourd, squash, and native seed plants, and who were limited to the most elementary tools and weaponry. And yet they were capable of constructing what was possibly around 1000 BC, the most elaborate and massive complex of earthworks in the Americas. Hey.
In the 1840s, Jacob Walters, an explorer traveling through the area looking for lead ore, first reported the presence of Native American artifacts on the Poverty Point site. However, it wasn't until the 1950s that the discovery of a 20-year-old aerial photograph revealed the site's unique form. Poverty Point contains a man-made earthen structure so large that it defies recognition from the ground. This revelation eventually led scientists to uncover new evidence of a highly developed ancient American culture.
All right, so we continue in the book from the Reader's Digest, Mysteries of the Ancient Americas, the New World Before Columbus. The natural questions to ask are who, how, when, and why. Were the people who built the Poverty Point mounds indigenous to Louisiana? Or did they come from other places and at different times? Were they a link between the Olmec, their Mexican contemporaries, 1200 to 300 BC, who also built earthen mounds, and the Adena mound builders who occupied the Ohio Valley somewhat later? How could a primitive people have planned such an enormous and formally designed project and then carried it through to completion? Did it take generations or even centuries to build? Presumably only a sedentary and socially stable people could have been capable of such a work. But could they have been sedentary without farming? Did Poverty Point represent a cultural revolution, an advance from a band of existence to an organized, class-structured society with laborers, overseers, and rulers? What inspired these people to build great earthworks? And finally, What happened to them? All right. Well, you're still there. Yeah. What happened to them? You guys are still there. All right. So, okay. Again, we're just doing a little real quick review. Some things that, here in Louisiana. Again, we got the mound, we got Poverty Point, we got a lot more, right? We got a lot more things, but this is just some examples, and we're corroborating with what they're finding, right? What they're finding. Hold on, let me see. I had a thing here. Okay. All right. Real quick, guys, before I show this thing, real quick. Okay. Real quick. Okay. So it says here, onlyinYourState.com, the wall-shaped earthwork in Mississippi. The ancient Mississippi of today are two, ancient Mississippi and the Mississippi today are two very different places. For instance, ancient Mississippi was home to a structure known as the Great Wall of Mississippi. Many locals have never heard of the historic wall, and that's because not much is known about it. In fact, its origins as well, exact location remain a mystery to this day, making it one of the most fascinating of the historical sites in Mississippi. So we actually have a pinpoint, supposedly, in a newspaper article, an old one that we read, where this is located, supposedly, right? The area. Okay, but over here they're saying they don't really know in this more modern article right here, making it one of the most fascinating of all historical sites in Mississippi. One of the seven wonders of the world, the Great Wall of China is among the world's most recognized sites. The Great Wall of Mississippi isn't nearly as large or well known as its Asian counterpart. However, it's got an interesting backstory that continues to baffle to this day. And it appears the wall has been baffling the public for quite some time. In November 1900, the New York Times reran an article by the New Orleans Picayune, which stated one of the scientific puzzles of the state of Mississippi is the Brandywine Stone Wall. It has long been a problem that is yet unsolved. Also known as the Brandywine Wall, the Great Wall of Mississippi was made of limestone and located somewhere in Claiborne County. That's what they're saying here in this article. Remember, they said they didn't know, but they're saying maybe in Claiborne County. Just how the wall came to be remains a mystery. Some believe it was built by Mother Nature, while others assign credit to a lost civilization that once resided near Brandywine Creek. These days, there's no visible wall near Brandywine Creek, which flows from Claiborne County to Copia County. However, it's likely the wall was located nearby since portions of the creek feature a rocky bottom. Plus, there's a huge deposit of large rocks near the creek. Over the years, residents have actually harvested the rocks, using them to create lawn decor. Here's some of the rocks here, right? This is from the news channel, right? We're gonna get that report. Lastly, the bed of rock is devoid of any soil on top. Appears to be relatively flat and stretches for about 1 mile, resembling a stone wall. All right, so hold up. It got stuck. Wait, what happened here? Okay, we go. All right. We're gonna take a look at this news report real quick, guys. I haven't even watched this one. I haven't watched this yet, so let's see what it's gonna say. All right, that's Channel 12 News. I don't know what state. Maybe Mississippi. All right, gonna get it. All right, let's see what he's gonna say.
Great Wall was quite a mystery a little over 100 years ago, but now it's mostly forgotten. Was it real? Let's see. It is.
Sorry, guys. I gotta move this so I can see the chat. My fault. Okay. So here's what they have to say. He says.
It's a myth of great proportions, but like any good myth, the Great Wall of Mississippi is based in fact, but not so much fact that many people have ever heard of it. I wouldn't have heard of it except a couple of fellows found a rock outcropping atop a rise in a patch of woods in Copia County, and they found a New Orleans newspaper article 100 years old about a great wall being built by a vanished race discovered near Brandywine Creek, Mississippi. It would accommodate 3 wagons abreast. They wrote funny back then.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard of this, I got a whole, the video. I'm basically going to go over it again today, but you guys got to catch up. We got so much drop on this channel, guys, over the years, And when I tell you guys that, don't take it personal like Joe did. Joe says he's been here all along, but he don't know that he literally, that's what my channel is literally about, to proving America's a true old world. We just did a video yesterday about that. I mean, we do at least 2 or 3 every week. You know, like, where you been, Joe? Hey, don't get all salty, man. You're welcome here, but if you wanna, nobody's holding you here, man. All right. So right here it says Jefferson County. See how they say Claiborne County? So it's in different, you'll see. The newspaper article says a different county too.
Well, this obviously wasn't big enough for the 3 wagons, so what was the article talking about? Well, I pulled out my map and found Brandywine Creek. That was either in Jefferson or Claiborne County. The creek runs through both, and it was hard to tell where it was from the map. But the creek has a rock bottom that drops into a small waterfall, but no rock wall nearby. So I drove the roads that hugged the creek and got so far back into the deep woods that I thought I was more likely going to find Bigfoot than the Great Wall. And then I rounded a curve and there was a yard full of rocks. Now this was unusual considering all the rock I hadn't seen so far. I knocked on the door of the house, and long story short, Jeff Leonard showed me where these rocks had come from. It was a small ledge or wall out behind his house. He told me his dad told him that if you cleared all the trees and soil off, this table of flat rock would stretch a mile all the way back to Brandywine Creek. Now that would be big enough to fit the legend. Now I'm not a geologist, but this looked more like a layer of sandstone that had weathered and cracked over the eons, and not blocks of quarried stone brought here and fitted together by a lost race. And the cracks, many in straight lines, might look like mortar joints, if that's what you wanted them to be. Jeff made no claim that the rock was man-made. He just said they were heavy. So another adventure that turned out better than I thought. I found what I was looking for, plus the bonus of finding that quiet creek that will bear more study over the seasons. And no Bigfoot. Well, not this time, anyway. So Mississippi's a land of myth and mystery, with just enough of it real to make it interesting. We'll find some more places like this in the near future and visit them.
Okay. So that was the news report. I go back to I might be reading the newspaper article they're talking about. And again, shout out to the archivist, right? When I was doing my amazing newspaper articles series, where we collaborate with the archivist, and one of those newspapers was this wall right here, which I thought was amazing at the time. I was like, wow, we're gonna get that again, that drop. Ready? All right, Laverne, since you missed it, here it is.
All right, moving on. It says here, the Great Wall of China. I mean, the Great Wall of Tartaria. I mean, the Great Wall of Mississippi. Says here, Mississippi's Great Wall. An interesting prehistoric work, the origin of which is a mystery. One of the scientific puzzles of the state of Mississippi is the Brandywine Stone Wall. It has long been a problem that is yet unsolved. Some time ago, Mr. Thomas Watson of Hasselhurst sent Governor Longino a pencil drawing of an immense pile of stones in the southeastern portion of Claiborne County, suggesting that the stone might be utilized in building the new capital. In a letter which accompanied the drawing, Mr. Watson stated that these stones piled high on each other cover an area of 4 miles square. Each stone is 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 2 feet thick, and they are joined together with an excellent quality of cement. No man knows how they came there. They may have been there for thousands of years. The builders, the Jackson News thinks, were some prehistoric race. It could not be otherwise. This structure is supposed to be a continuation of the Great Chinese Wall. Listen, this is supposed to be a what? Continuation of the Great Wall of China? All the way in Mississippi? Which seems to begin below Raymond in the southern part of Hinds County, and which is traceable through Copaya. All right, this is how long this wall is. Listen up. It is broad enough to accommodate 2 or 3 wagons abreast, and is one of the wonders of the world. One of the wonders of the world. Mention of this remarkable exhibit, says the Hasselhurst Courier has elicited no little comment. In fact, has brought a letter to Mr. Watson from the warden of the United States Penitentiary at Leavenworth, Kansas, and also a letter to Dr. T.B. Birdsong from another distinguished source. It being known that the latter some years ago investigated the matter. Mr. Watson, however, says the Courier has given the subject more patient thought and gone over the ground more thoroughly than anyone else, and to him, the Courier is indebted for the following facts. He calls it the Brandywine Stone Wall, and says this wonderful and massive structure or parts of structure of masonry done in stone, which have withstood the ravages of time for perhaps many thousands of years, listen, still stand an enduring relic of a prehistoric civilization and knowledge of the art of building, not inferior in many respects to the present day. These stone buildings lie for the most part buried in the earth in the southeastern portion of Claiborne County and lying against the Copiah County line on the slopes overlooking the valley of the Brandywine Creek from the west side. Wow, a wall, a long, thick, megalithic wall buried in Mississippi. They're saying it connects to the Great Wall of China. I don't know how they know that, but very interesting report here. As you guys can see, Mississippi's Great Wall. Again, continuing, it says here, the Mound Builders, Wisconsin, 1875. The Great Wall of Mississippi, Brandywine continued. The bottom never found. Large forest trees, several hundred years old, growing on top. 400 square miles. So you understand what he just said? They found an archaeological wall, and they found trees growing on top of that wall. Very large trees, meaning that wall is very ancient. Let's get to the report. It says here, the Mound Builders. Traces of their work in Mississippi. Remarkable prehistoric discovery. Professor James R. Gage of Washington City, an eminent geologist and mineralogist who has recently been engaged in making extensive explorations regarding the works of the ancient mound builders, reports the discovery of a very remarkable wall in Claiborne County, 18 miles east of Port Gibson, Mississippi. The discovery has been incidentally mentioned in several papers within the course of a few days, but they do not appear to have realized a tithe of its antiquarian and archaeological interest and importance. We condemn the particulars of the discovery from the professor's statement in the Washington Republican. It appears that blocks of the stone have been taken by the farmers for building purposes for many years, and it has formed a general quarry for furnishing large blocks of stone. So they were finding this megalithic wall, these stones, and they were using it to build other things. They weren't reporting it. But the farmers have never, it seems, been aware of the antiquarian importance of this wall, which is claimed to be coeval or anterior to that of Hadrian's famous wall in England. Professor Gage employed laborers and uncovered a portion of the wall 20 feet in width and 175 feet in length. But on removing the soil here and there, he traced it 600 feet. The workmen uncovered the wall to a depth of 6 feet, but lower than this, the excavations were not continued. Large forest trees of pine and oak, several hundred years old, are grown on top of the wall. Again, large forest trees of pine and oak, they're very old trees, right? Several hundred years old are grown on top of the wall. How old is this wall then? The blocks are limestone and belong to the Tertiary Formation. They were hewn out of this formation and are 3 feet in length, 20 inches in width, and 22 inches in thickness. One of these blocks has been shipped to Philadelphia for the centennial. Oh, so they sent one of these stones to their world fairs? The wall from which it was taken forms two sides of a rectangular, one part running east and west, and the other north and south. The excavations were made near their angle. 3 miles due south from this point, another portion of the wall reappears on the banks of Bayou Pierce, owing to the washing out of the creek, making it a large exposure, and it is therefore judged that this is a continuation of the ancient wall. The wall was built on the side of a ridge overlooking a swamp, which in ancient times was evidently the bed of a lake. And the inference is that the wall was erected by the ancient occupants as a barrier against an enemy, or possibly as an ancient levee or dike erected for the protection of the inhabitants against the encroachments of the lake or the waters of the Mississippi. Are you guys listening to this history that we were never taught? From other evidences of the wide extent of this wall, as described by Professor Gage, it appears that it included a large area of land, covering probably 400 square miles. All right, this is big, and extending to the Mississippi River. The locality where the wall exists in the neighborhood of the Natchez Indians, all right, the Natchez, who were found in the state of considerable civilization when they first visited by the French. And these remains, it is conjectured by Professor Gage, had some connection with the occupation by the warlike ancestors of this interesting and famous tribe. All right, you guys hear this? They didn't teach us none of this in school. They don't even bring it up at all. It didn't fit their history. Remember, manifest destiny. If it's considered pre-Columbian, it wasn't considered historic. It was savage. All right.
All right, all right. All right, all right. So we're gonna continue, okay? So real quick, right? Claiborne County, near Port Gibson, near Lorman, this whole area right here of the next to the Mississippi. I'm gonna back up, right? So from here, let's get directions, right? From Chandeleur. Whoops. Whoops, what's going on here? Okay. Oh, they're playing with me. Chandeleur Islands, okay. Driving, whatever. No results found for Claiborne County. What? Wait, am I spelling it wrong? What do you mean? They ain't trying to give us the distance. I don't know why. Am I spelling Claiborne wrong? Either way, guys. All right, Chandelier Islands. All right, where are they? Right here, right? This is literally on the Mississippi side. If you really look at it, the Chandelier Islands, which is right here, it's kind of like on the Mississippi side under it. Look at that. Biloxi, right under it. All right, Louisiana over here. West Fort LaRouche, where they found that grave, 30,000 years old. It's around this whole area, right? So again, we got the wall, not too far from here, guys. It's in the same area. You saw the Poverty Points clip where they were saying they were trading. This ancient advanced people were trading far away. All this area is the same people, right? So what I'm trying to show you guys before I get to the main topic today, I just wanted you guys to have a little context of what we already know, right? That was just a little bit. We got so much more drop on America being the old world. But since we were talking about New Orleans, I just want to remind you about that. So now that we're talking about this lost city in the ocean, 12,000 years old, it shouldn't surprise you. At least not people who follow me for the last 8 years. It's just more icing on the cake, all right? So we're going to hear a full-length report on it, right? We're going to go to this channel right here, Hitting in the Heartland. I guess podcast number 9, fair use, Hitting in the Heartland. Hit like, subscribe if you like. I actually ran into their channel. I didn't know about their channel yesterday. So I went through the channel, as you guys can see, and they have a lot of pretty interesting things when it comes to America being the old world. So, hey guys, if you guys enjoy their videos, like and subscribe, let me know what you find. I haven't watched any, I've only watched this video. Well, actually, I haven't even watched this video fully. I just saw the beginning part. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it, So to Hitting in the Heartland, which I see they haven't really done a video in a year. This is the last video. They don't even got no live videos. We're not doing this to copy you. Please, if you don't want this on, just let me know. Don't give me no copyright. and I'm promoting your channel. Like, let's be human here. Like, you got 1,000 subscribers. I might be able to get you more, man. So don't copyright me, man. Contact me. Just contact me. Say, hey, please take this off. Okay, fine. All right. So again, we're doing this for educational review, discussion. Again, this is from Hidden in the Heartland, not mine. It seems they're doing videos, from what I understand of it, from like the little series that's out called Hidden in the Heartland. It's a TV series, which is not them. This is a whole different thing. But this series is kind of like, well, let me just read it. You know, it's based on the Book of Mormon stuff. You know, none of my stuff originates with Book of Mormon. Like, Book of Mormon is just, they're saying the same thing, but not really. They're in a religious kind of view. Those golden tablets they found, guys, those were the Micmac Indians. That has nothing to do with Joseph Smith. Okay. He found them. Somebody told him where it was. Moroni told him where it was. Moroni. Moroni told him what the tablets was, and that's history after that. They, you know, so their whole thing is that a lot of the Indians are the people of the old world, or biblical or Israelites, and that America, a lot of the parts of America are biblical lands and all that. You know, you guys know. But that's not what we go off into my channel. We're not doing Mormonism here. It just happens that they do mention a lot of the stuff we already proved, right? So check out the channel if you like it. We're gonna see what they got to say about this sunken city found outside New Orleans. Okay, let me just kind of gonna bear with me, guys, real quick. Okay. All right. All right. All right. We're gonna get this like it's the first time. Again, shout out to Hidden in the Heartland. All right. Let's see what we can dig out of this. Pull out the babies, dodge the hijacks.
So there you go. Today we're going to go. In fact, I'll get our little screen shared up here, which I hope this has been good and understandable. We're going to go ahead and go to the state of Louisiana for a little bit of a visit. Some content that we have found online. Haven't visited it yet. We would love to visit a place like this and meet some of these people who do some real hard archaeological work. And Louisiana, here's what's interesting about Louisiana. I kind of want to go into this a little bit. This is actually where I served my mission. So, and I served in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and then I spent some time in Mississippi. And we did an episode recently about Poverty Point, which is further north of here. So we know that Louisiana has a lot of history behind it, as far as anciently, as well as, during the early days of the United States.
So basically, that's what I was trying to, have context before we started this. That's what basically he's saying, the same thing. We already know this area is very ancient, and they have found evidence of people inhabiting this area for a very long time, older than all these supposed old world sites in the other parts of the world. Okay, so that's basically, we agree on that.
But Louisiana is filled with mounds and Native American stuff. In fact, what I'm going to do is read a little bit. I'll try to not bore you guys, but I wanted you to at least have a little bit of background on what this is. New Orleans, the prehistory says that the landmass, and I'm going to focus on New Orleans now, which is right there on the tip of Louisiana. It's a landmass that was to become the city of New Orleans, was formed actually around 2200 BC, is what they estimate, when the Mississippi River started to deposit silt, creating the Delta region. So this is the mouth of the Mississippi. So when things kind of melted and the earth kind of shifted, this is definitely the mouth of a waterway. When you get to, in fact, there's several rivers that come down to this part of the United States, the Mississippi and the Missouri. But the Mississippi River is like one of the powerful ones that we do a lot of, discussion about as its possibility of what it could be in relation to Book of Mormon material. Some people think that Mississippi River could be Sidon. We don't really know that, so we're not going to make that claim. But as far as what we see in front of us, we see that New Orleans was inhabited by Native Americans for about 1,300 years before the Europeans showed up. The Mississippian culture people built mounds and earthworks in the area. Later, Native Americans created a portage between the headwaters of the Bayou St. John and the Mississippi River. The bayou flowed into Lake Pontchartrain. And, this is really, these areas are really kind of wild because they're a lot of water. You're literally, and it shifts from year to year. What you see in the ground and what's water and what's the ground. It's really shifting, and so sometimes stuff just floods. So it's really when Katrina hit, some of the dams broke and really did a lot of damage and literally shifted the face of the map a little bit.
Especially if like when you're talking about our modern civilization, if we didn't have like the dikes and things like that they built down there, that city would be gone.
Exactly. Oh, totally.
Would cease to exist. So kind of what we're talking about today is a real possibility without the help of modern engineering.
Yeah, very fragile lands there. So New Orleans became an important trade route. There's archaeological evidence that shows the settlement in New Orleans dating back to about 400 AD. And see, there's a thing here called Bulbancha. I had to make sure I got my pronunciation right, and I probably ought to wear my glasses. Bulbancha was what it was called before. It was the original name of New Orleans, and Bulbancha actually translates to land of many tongues, which is fascinating. That's a
land of many tongues, right? This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, why is it named that? Think about that.
That's from the Choctaw language, the land of many tongues. So, and it was an important trading hub for thousands of years. So there's a quick little background into the tip of Louisiana, known as New Orleans, and now, of course, it's known for Mardi Gras. So, as a missionary, that's when you go hide in your apartment and you don't go out because crazy stuff happens.
Lockdown, right?
That's right. You totally stay off the strip, as we call it. And so I remember those days, but I never went to Mardi Gras. I can say that I was a good missionary. So right on the edge there is called Chandelier Sound or Chandelier Islands. As you can see, that's what we're going to talk about today is Chandelier Sound and Chandelier Islands. And that's not named after the guy who invented chandeliers. I don't know, but it's definitely a French name.
I definitely think it's related. I bet you it's a Huguenot.
And here's a little background on the chandelier. The Chandelier Islands was supposedly created 2,000 years ago, according to archaeologists, and was possibly at one point much longer ago dry land. And so the Chandelier Islands are a chain of uninhabited barrier islands approximately 50 miles long, located in the Gulf of Mexico, marking the outer boundary of the Chandelier Sound. They form the easternmost part of the state of Louisiana. So now you can kind of see it. You can see the little dots on the right hand side of the screen. It says Chandelier Islands. Okay, so the question is, what is out there? And that is a mystery. Now, I'm gonna preface this a little bit to say that, in the Book of Mormon, we do know that during Third Nephi, when Christ came, that there was earthquakes, which we demonstrated by an episode where we talked about the great earthquake of 1811 and 1812, matching some of the dialogue of Third Nephi. But now there was also a lot of talk of cities falling into the ocean. Now, there's little hints and instances of cities falling into the ocean. I know Wisconsin has a bit of that, and Michigan up in the Great Lakes, there's a lot of evidence of parts of things that have fallen in. And if you saw one of our episodes, we followed a guy named Scott Mitchin up there who had a museum right there on the water. And he was a deep sea diver himself, where he went down and found things and he pulled them up. And he has this museum of things from like a few hundred years ago and stuff that's even more than 1,000 years ago. So, and then he also showed that the waters have receded, that the Great Lakes, as you see them now, are actually smaller than they were at one point, that there were boat docks that were a mile away. And so we know that the earth shifts, that things happen, that things change. And so now there's a gentleman who I'm going to introduce that is fascinating. His name is George Gili. And George Gili is, in fact, here I go. I'll kind of skip on to the next thing. There he is, George Gili, amateur archaeologist. That's what he is. I'm going to read a little background about him real quick. He is from Prairieville and in Louisiana, and he's an architect and a commercial contractor, and he calls himself an amateur archaeologist. And I really am enjoying what I'm reading about him, and I'm going to explain why here in a minute as we go into it. There's two pieces of evidence that each of you as an audience can go out and see to start this, because this is not reading history books about things like Saint, Brandon or any of these others. This is ongoing current day search. And so that's why this is fascinating, because this is more things that are changing right in front of us. So there was an article written about George Gili in 2011 in The Advocate. So that's one piece of thing that you can read on your own, and which I'm going to refer some to. And the other thing is there was an interview with George Gili of 1 year ago. And so it's a more recent, and there's some advancement in some of his research. And by the time that the interview was done, it was on WWL-TV, which is down in Louisiana, their local news station. They interview him, and it was really fascinating seeing these two different interviews, because one was done in 2011, one was done in 2022. There was some advancement in it, and also some skepticism that continued on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer to the article first in The Advocate to kind of go into some of the things he says, and then I'm going to go, and then these pictures you're seeing are actually stills from the WWL-TV interview, where he's talking. So he's probably about 75 years old now, 76, something like that, today. But at the time of the other interview, he was 64, and it said that he's spent the last 35 years, which now it's been about 50 years, trying to solve a mystery. He says there's something at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico near northern Chandelier Islands off the coast of Louisiana. And his quest for truth has consumed his time with hard work over the past 3 decades. Gili said, and that led to him spending hundreds of thousands of his own dollars doing this research. So he's obviously dedicated to it, and he's probably not getting anything out of it. I don't see a book yet. I don't see, really anything but him really wanting to know. He says, quote, "What's important is to figure out what's there, because whatever it is, it belongs to the people of Louisiana." Gili has state officials rooting for him. So this is actually a plus, is that at the time of the 2011 article, the state officials actually are rooting for him, and they actually support him. There's the lieutenant governor at the time, and then the state archaeologist at the time. So the state archaeologist, his name is Chip McGimsey. So we're going to talk about Chip McGimsey here in just a minute. But here is what George has found, and that's what we'll go into here. He has found, he's gone on about 40 dives down in Chandelier Sound by the islands. And he says that there's thousands of pieces of granite that make up this small city. And it's like a whole bunch of just granite pieces. Now, the first thing to remember is that granite is not indigenous to Louisiana or Mississippi or any of that area. So it is very obvious that this granite was brought in. It was not, and I think all archaeologists and everybody are on board with that one statement, is that that's not where granite came from, that this was actually dumped there somehow, or laid there, or it was there and something happened and it all crumbled. Who knows? That's what and going underwater is not easy. Those things really take time and money, and like I said, this guy has probably spent a lot of his own money, so it'd be interesting to cheer him on and see what he's doing. He said he found a large continuous mass of thousands of broken and square stones. Even though granite is not natural to Louisiana or Mississippi, most of the rock in the mass is granite, which means somebody had to bring it to the location. Looking at the spot from a distance, the mass is bigger than the base of the Louisiana Superdome. So that kind of gives you a little size. The Louisiana Superdome is I think that's a football field. So sized, one of those big ones. He says another artifact that he found was clay pottery, and I think that we'll see this here in this next picture. The theory is that this granite could have come down this channel, which is obviously the river, the Mississippi River. Actually, it's not labeled as Mississippi River, but it's eventually it came, it could have come down the channel out into the mouth where New Orleans lies now. So that's one of the theories as to where it could have come from. And here's what's fascinating is Gili shows that the granite has architecture to it. And that's the part that makes him go, something is going on. He has found curved clay pottery pieces, a possible sewer. He shows in this sample that he shows in this picture that this was a curved part of could be a building or something where, it's like a sewer. And it's he says he brought up another piece that has some kind of glaze or paint on it, and it looks like it could be the end of a building or an architectural facade of some type. Gili also found a stone with a sharp 90-degree angle, which looks totally man-made. He says there are hundreds of pieces like that down underwater in this area. Gili said he is looking for a different hypothesis to explain why the mass is there. The site could be a construction dumping ground, an attempt to create an attempt to create an artificial reef, ballast rocks from sailing ships, multiple shipwrecks, a cultural site that was built on the St. Bernard, Mississippi River 3,000 years ago, building ruins that could be 12,000 years old. And somehow he comes up with the number 12,000 years. We're not totally sure why, It could be that because we think the sound and the islands used to be, with no water, used to have no water, used to be dry land, that could have been a building that was there, at one point.
So, all right, guys. Sorry, I was doing sign here on the side. That's why I didn't have my camera on. But remember, like he's saying, the officials did say there is granite there, and they're trying to explain it away, guys. We dodged the hijack with their theories, guys. I'm just showing you so you can have a reference of what they're finding here, and maybe one day somebody in the future can actually go determine what it is. This guy was doing it all on his own, spending his own money. Nobody's really, and they just left it like that. What's the update? They haven't said it's fake. They haven't debunked him. They're trying to say, well, maybe it was the Spanish, or maybe somebody dropped it there. Maybe it's from 3,000 years ago, whatever. So I guess what he's trying to, the Geely dude, right? He's basing it, I guess, based on like a geologist would base. Okay, if this was above water, then this would be maybe about 12,000 years ago. Just like earlier when we read about the graves, right? They said, and the same explanation, how the sand and being washed by the Mississippi River going, ending up there in the Delta, and the point of it accumulating based on where they found the graves. They say, oh, that's at least 30,000 years ago. So that's kind of probably what he's doing. All right. So don't take everything everybody is saying here like to heart, guys. We're just, we're investigating. And if you missed the beginning, make sure to watch from the beginning. Make sure to catch up on all my videos. America's a True Old World. This is just more icing on the cake.
And then as the floods came and things happened, that it could have broken down. So it's definitely, but here's the important thing about what Geely is doing. Geely actually says he will not say what he thinks it is. And this is what I call really good amateur archaeology, at least in my non-knowledge, unofficial opinion, because I'm by no means an archaeologist myself at all. I don't even consider myself an amateur archaeologist. I just consider myself a guy who collects information and brings it to you. But Geely says he won't say what it is. He says, what I think will only be speculation. That doesn't matter. What matters is what the professional archaeologists think. And on that it's also, there's truth out there, and then there's there's all of our speculations, and I think he's going about it in a proper manner. I think there's times in which we're hungry for, and I think we've talked about this before, Mark, you and I did in an earlier episode, where as members of the church, we are hungry for evidence of the Book of Mormon. We're so hungry for it that we'll eat the wrapper before we actually eat the food. And so we won't really go into, letting the evidence actually speak for itself. We're creating, already some kind of evidence. Like we could say that this building could be, or this architecture could be one of the cities that sunk in during the time of Christ, but we totally don't know that, because we don't even really exactly know where those cities are. And so we're being very careful to not say this is one of those cities that sunk in during the time of Christ. So what do you think about that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it would be lovely to just say, oh, this is the land of Nephi, and this is one of those cities. That would be an incredible thing to do. But right now, you kind of have to look at the evidence and let evidence speak for itself, and not come up with a conclusion as of yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the important thing is that we're finding evidence of people that lived here in North America during the time frame of the record of the Book of Mormon. We're slowly but surely finding more and more about that, and that's super exciting. But we can't really, I don't think it's a right thing to do to pinpoint. There are certain things that, yes, we can pinpoint. I believe, like the Hill Cumorah can definitely be pinpointed.
Yeah.
And there's enough there that shows, yes, battles of mass destruction. And a lot of that work was done by people that didn't really have any skin in the Book of Mormon game. But I think with this, the way that this gentleman has approached it has been really good. He's saying, hey, there's lots of different possibilities. These are the possibilities. This is what I have found.
Yeah.
He may have a thought of what he thinks it is, but he's keeping he's keeping it to himself because he knows that could do some damage to the work that he's doing.
Guys, remember, like, we're just hearing their opinion on it, but I still give him props for talking about it. He admitted he's not an expert. Okay, we're get over that. Don't worry about their theories, but so they're theorizing about the other guy's research, right? And they're saying he might know more than he's saying. He might not want to sound crazy or not get funded, maybe. That's what they're trying to say, but it's there, guys. Like, anybody want to prove me wrong, go over there and see. Yeah, just show me it's natural. Go show me it's natural.
That's exactly right. That is what makes it a really good, what he's doing is fascinating. And it also should allow us to cheer him on. I would love to meet him,
Yeah.
hopefully someday, and just get him to just talk about it and to be honest about it. And there's already, like I said, there's already content, online, with the interview. But I think he's going about it pretty good. So,
And this is a prime example of why it's so important that if people are able to, that they donate to your third season, because it allows you to go and interview people.
that's right.
It's not something that like is cheap to go to Louisiana, for a day or two and go out on a boat or whatever the case you would be doing. But that's why it's so important that if you are able to donate to
Yeah.
the third season.
Yeah, thank you, Brent. Yeah, that's right. That's true. So we could get down there and see physically what does he have. And so and as well as others. And because I know there's others that do that.
Unfortunately, a lot of the people that are doing this work, like this gentleman here, he's not, what is he, in his 70s?
Yeah, he's 70, I think
So,
76 is what he is now. So,
and I wonder if there's going to be other people that are going to pick up the torch after him, or if, what is found underwater is just ignored,
yeah.
after the work that he's done. So that's why I'm excited about a third season,
Yeah.
to get some more information on these sorts of things. So.
Well,
all right. I guess you want to be the next guy I put on the spot. So behind the nine. Sorry, guys, if you're listening live, you're listening later, and you're not in the live chat. I'm addressing somebody in the live chat right now. Sorry to interrupt. They're just literally talking, so we can talk too. So behind the nine says, not even their history. They wasn't there. Were you there? Was any of your people there? What does that have to do with what we're talking about? This ain't about them, guys. And then behind the nine says 12,000 years old, and he laughs. Human post Adam on this realm 6,000 years according to Anatolical calculation. So Anatoly is your ultimate source, right? Anatoly is your ultimate source. Anatoly has a lot of hijack in his books. Have you read all 20 of his books? Behind the nine? A lot of hijack there too. I can criticize a lot of Anatoly. We get a lot of drop from Anatoly Fomenko. And we got a whole series on false chronology. But you're going off a Bible verse. You're going off a biblical view, right? And that's okay. But we're humans. We don't know. Only the Most High knows. There is a scripture, guys. I'm going to show you. Man, you guys. So, 1,000. So, let me see. One day to the Most High is 1,000 years to us. Okay, let's what Bible verse? I forget the Bible verse. Hold on. 2 Peter 3:8, is that what it is? It might be 2 Peter 3:8. What's all this stuff? Come on, man. I'm human. Yeah, you know, but you want to be here criticizing, man. And I barely see you on my lives or my comments, man. Okay? I'm talking to you, bro. Like, you want to say stuff, I'm gonna address it too. Ah, gosh, what's this stuff? Ah, hold on. Go to another one. Because I kind of did the numbers one day. I started trying to calculate what that would mean if we go off God's time and not human time. Now it says in 2 Peter 3:8, one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. So basically, what that Bible verse is saying is that to the Most High, one day is 1,000 years to us. So you said the earth is 6,000, right? So do the math. Break that down into days and then times it times 1,000. You're going to see how much that would be. You're going to see how much that would be in time. Okay? This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. You guys always like come like we conjecturing. We're both conjecturing. But when you come here and try to debunk people without you even being positive of what you're saying, you can't even prove that either. I know what the Bible says. I know what biblical people say. And I know maybe it's true. But this verse is this subliminal talk right here? What does this mean? Break this verse down to me. And I know you can't. So I did the math. I said 6,000 years, break that into days, and times that to 1,000. You're going to see the numbers, guys. There's a whole lot of years in there. All right. Back to the presentation. Yeah, me and Joseph did the math. We both got to the same answer different ways. That was the crazy part about it. Me and Joseph were like, nah, I did it this way. And we ended up having the same answer. The way people calculate math is different, right? Everybody does it a different way sometimes. You can reach the same answer, though. Anyways, right? I just want to show you that. All right, so, and I've been wanting to say this to everybody. Everybody's always trying, hey, Kurimeo, the earth is only 6,000. Like, are you the Most High? Are you the Most High, man? Like, nobody really knows. I don't know. You don't know. They don't know. Anybody can say whatever, but I can interpret my own scripture. I don't really go with the whole New Testament that much, but it does say that right here. This could be a code to break right here, guys. When it comes to years of the earth, I'm just saying, have an open mind. Thank you. Let's get back to the presentation. Anybody else want to say anything else? Anybody else got any comments and opinions so I can address it? Thank you. Let's go.
And that's actually a good point you bring up, Mark, and the Ancient Artifact Preservation Society, which just had their conference a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago. When I go and I see them, the average age of that bunch that comes and brings their stuff are in the 70s. And I'm the young buck. And I'm not revealing my age, but I am over 50. That's all I can tell you. Otherwise, I'd have to kill you because I don't reveal my age. Just kidding. I'm actually 56, and I'm considered one of the young guys when I go. And so that sadly, the research, once some of these people pass on, there goes the research, and it's forgotten. And so it's really fascinating. So this guy is just another one of those that has this great piece that's found. Let me continue on with him, but good words, Mark. I think that's just right. So here's his little background. He says the whole research really started when Gili, back in 1966, when he went to Mexico as an LSU college student to study ancient cities and ancient civilizations. Okay, so he kind of already had a thrill for this. The trip left Gili with what would turn out to be a lifelong interest in ancient civilizations. Gili realized, and this is very interesting, that if there were ancient civilizations in Mexico, why wouldn't there be ancient civilizations right here at home? After all, the two countries are not that far apart. So, haha, that's fascinating. So, and it's interesting hearing that.
That's the hijack with the out of Africa, everything. This is the true old world. All right. Yeah, there was advanced civilizations here. We've proven it. And yeah, Rob, like they call him an amateur. In my opinion, they call him an amateur so people don't take him serious, right? But then they call people like in the one in Egypt, that dude Hamas, whatever his name is, the expert over there, he's an expert, right? When he's doing is lying to you every time he goes on the History Channel, right? And they call the dudes from the what's it called? Ancient Astronauts, History Channel. They call those guys archaeologists and experts. And they talking about aliens. But because he's pointing out something, George Geely is saying, hey, there's a city under here. They're gonna label him an amateur. So dodge the hijack with that. But let's go. Continue.
Then the state archaeologists kind of came in. A little more background. In 1976, Geely went for his first dive in that area surrounding those islands, but it would take almost 35 years for him to actually find the site. So he dived in there long before and did the search. But the truth is, if Geely never went down there, would we ever have seen it? He went, for years until he finally actually found pieces. And like I said, going down there is not easy to do these dives. The state archaeologist, McGimsey, said that he had been out to the site for a day, and he loves Geely's story. So it's nice that he got the state archaeologist's applause in what he's doing. So the archaeologist goes on to say, it is great that he has been following this for 30 years or so, and it's great to see someone with enthusiasm for history. McGimsey said Geely has been going about his search officially by seeking for permits from the Louisiana Archaeological Survey and Antiquities Commission. McGimsey said there doesn't appear to be evidence of this is fascinating. So McGimsey, who's the state archaeologist, says that he doesn't think that there was evidence of a shipwreck at the site. Instead, it appears somebody has dumped barge loads of stone there. So he doesn't think there's a shipwreck because you don't see evidences of a ship. It's just somebody dumped the stuff there. He says, but why and why there? Those are questions that need to be answered. Okay. Then the LSU archaeologist shows up, and LSU archaeology professor Rob Mann has met Geely and seen his presentation. Mann said that Geely has definitely found something, but the question is, what is it? Based on his professional opinion and his limited knowledge of what he found, he differs. He says he differs on what he thinks it turned out to be. The LSU archaeology professor said that he thinks the site will turn out to be something more pedestrian rather than mythical, which is interesting because nobody said anything about being mythical. But whatever, that's what he thinks. So there's already a little he said, she said moment, between the two archaeologists. He said it might be an attempt by someone to create an official reef in the 1940s, to build something. I think simply searching underwater at this point won't give us any more answers. So he's more of the skeptic, but you know what? This guy keeps finding stuff. Geely says that, and then just to wrap this up, he's pretty much has spent hundreds of thousands of his own dollars doing this, and he's been going to the state trying to get money. And his thing is, I just want to know the truth. That's really all he wants to do. So that's 2011. So we're going to jump forward to 2022 to talk more about this interview. Now here's where it kind of goes into a different level a little bit. And that is the pyramid, the possible of a pyramid. Okay. So I'm going to advance this.
What's interesting to me about this is I wonder how many stories there are out there that we don't know. Like this one, there happens to be a news article and a little clip. So how many things have been found out there by people that are passionate about what they found, but
Yeah.
maybe only a small pocket of people know about it.
Yeah.
And archaeology is something where, unless you have someone that's willing to pay for it, there aren't really large digs unless they feel like it's something important.
Yeah.
The state of Louisiana isn't going to dump money into diving to try to figure out what this is because, who knows what it is.
Yeah.
So,
no, and that's the thing, is that nobody will, and people think that they will find out. They will tell us what the truth is. They will, and who's they, and when are they going to get on it? And we realize that they probably won't because it's not their priority.
Exactly. This is what I was saying earlier. They don't care, guys. They'd rather fund wars. They'd rather go excavate over there in Giza, keep excavating a geopolymer cement. Most likely one of the first World Fairs theme park over there. They'd rather spend money and stuff like that, right? Than go prove that America's the true old world. He's right.
And it takes a guy like Gili to spend his own money to go down and to actually find out what's going on. And we realize that he's already proving that something is there. But if he never were to have gone down, we never would know. It would just be another piece of a body of water, and we would never know what's down there unless he actually unless somebody with an interest goes and does it. And I guarantee you, all over these parts of the United States, there are more and more of that. It's just, I'm sure it's expensive and it's hard, and that's why in a lot of cases we'll never find out, what's in some of the Great Lakes and what's in some of the other areas, and
it's expensive and it's hard, and there's also been different things that have been put into place that don't allow it.
Correct.
There's a lot of things that for the modern Native American tribes that are just like, nope, you can't touch it. So
don't touch it.
It's kind of this little, super, super expensive, might be on land you can't do anything with. But luckily there are people that are passionate about it and they don't give up. And, every once in a while you have them write a book. Every once in a while you have them interviewed by a newspaper. So we're able to pick those things up. It's interesting that the government of the United States early on did some surveys and then they really stepped back from doing that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Archaeological. Yeah. And then they decided, no, we're not doing that anymore because maybe we don't like what we're finding.
That's true. You don't like it, or it's too expensive, or we're too busy building a building over it, or something. There's many reasons. And this is what you see here on this one. This is from the news article, the I can't remember now, the Louisiana news agency that did the interview a year ago. This is actually what they came up with. So it went from, in 2011, Gili was getting support from the state to 2022, and everybody around Gili is now a skeptic. Like, there's no thinking, hey, let's advance this even further. It's just, experts claim the granite are ballast from Spanish and French shipwrecks from a little bit ago, a few hundred years ago, and that's it, and just leave it alone. And
I
not
wonder
actually
if
search.
so he talks about granite, and I don't know if any of our viewers know, and you can probably comment, but did they use granite as ballast on these ships? Like,
Yeah,
it seems like a weird stone where you'd be
especially
like,
ones that are shaped like a gutter.
Let's use some granite for ballast for our ship, and then when we get into Louisiana, that looks like a great spot that we could just all dump our ballast.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they were saying,
I don't know. I'm asking if people know if
they
you have
know
more information.
Let us know, because we don't know. That's the mystery of this whole thing, is we don't know. Don't speculate. Find us some real proof. Find us some kind of link to something that gives us some evidence, because that's what we're here for, is evidence, not speculation. And but it is interesting to find out. So that's where it comes down to. Now here's where this is the part where it gets a little interesting. So 10 years later, in 2022, Geely comes out and talks about the possibility of a pyramid down there. He's saying that it's about 280 feet tall. So obviously he's done more dives, and I know he's hired other guys to do dives too. It's not just him. And he's named this pyramid Crescentus. That's just his name for it. Okay, off of Chandelier Sound in Louisiana. It's the makings of a pyramid that could stand 280 feet tall. And this is the part that needs to be researched, in my opinion, a little more to find out. It's like we know there's granite there, we know there's a lot of stuff, but now the pyramid aspect is being brought in, and we need to find out if this is something that's real or not. And here's what we know about this pyramid is what you see here. He thinks it's 280 feet tall, and some believe that the pyramid has electromagnetic energy. And so this is where I want to make sure we don't bring the UFOs and Bigfoot in, but that we do know that there's some kind of something there. I actually just came from Skinwalker Ranch. So I know in the ranch is one of those things, and I don't mean to divert off to the Skinwalker Ranch, but if you haven't seen the show Skinwalker Ranch, you ought to watch it and at least just get a feel for it. And you'll see that the guys who do the research are not alien people. They're guys who just collect data. That's all they're there to do, is to collect the data. And if we do this thing, does it make this thing happen? Is there a reaction to the action? And what is it? And why is it doing it? And that's how they deal with it. And so the same, I hope, is happening with this possibility of this pyramid in this area.
Yeah, hey Rob, they actually did. A lot of these reports are coming from the fishermen. They find pieces of it, or their nets get caught in it, or their compasses start messing up. Like a lot of strange phenomena they report in that same area, just like in the Bermuda Triangle. So I bet you that George Geely found out about this from fishermen. Is he a fisherman? And what is he doing out there? How would he know? Why would he dive there? Who told him? It most likely was, either fishermen or even oral stories of the indigenous people. Legends, you never know. Somehow somebody told him he's not just gonna, I'm gonna go look right here. I don't know. But yeah, definitely fishermen's probably would be the first source of this.
And so here's one of the evidences of this electromagnetic is shrimper Ricky Robbins on the Little Rick. And so that's his boat. He's a shrimper, and he says that the compass spins around when they went. I guess he's gone out several times with George Geely. They've gone out to that area because that's where he normally goes to shrimp. And he says that when they went over what they think was the tip of the pyramid, his compass would spin around. And so that definitely means that there's something going on. It doesn't mean, lasers being fired from an alien ship. It just means there's some messing around with the instruments, and which has been known to happen in some cases. And so when you see the interview, you hear him talking about it. And I personally believe that he's sincere in his concern, as well as Geely. I think that we all have to make a judgment on that. I don't think they're being creepy about it. And even Geely himself says, I don't know what it is again, and I just want to know what it is. There's no harm in wanting to know what this is. And so
I think the cool thing is he's not profiting from it.
No,
he hasn't written
not.
A book. He's just, in fact, he's deep into it.
Yeah.
It's more than a hobby for him. He spent a lot of money, and he just wants to figure out what is this. And And it's interesting because you read the article from 2011 and then you spring forward to the video, and you can see a progression that he's still working on it, and he's saying, look, there's evidence that there's a big structure that might be the shape of a pyramid. He mentions that, I think, longitudinally, I'm saying the word wrong, but it lines up with one of the pyramids, in in Egypt. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's too bad there isn't a way to drain the water and see what's
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah.
Guys, look at look at this, man. This is not natural. You guys think this was natural? You guys see this stone and what he was holding earlier? Like, look at this. I mean, it don't look natural. And granite, huh? They're saying granite. What if it's geopolymer too? Like Paul has found some. Like he even created some. He created like this very hard granite. Like he did it. He tested it himself. Hey, maybe they poured it over there. I don't know. Maybe it is a wall instead of a reef. Who knows, guys? But there's something definitely down there, especially if he's finding this. If this is true right here, and they haven't debunked him, right? These archaeology, these experts, they haven't debunked him. They didn't say, "Oh no, that's a fake." They probably just try to write it off, say, "Oh, that's natural." So yeah, like just me seeing this, I'd be like, "Wow!" Like that's why I see why George Jill is so excited. He found that, he's like, "Wow, there's something under there." Again, this granite is not from that area. It's brought from somewhere else. If it's not geopolymer.
And this is one of those things that will really be interesting to watch as time goes by.
Yeah.
He'll probably be working on this until the day he dies.
Yeah.
But like I said, I hope we can do season 3, and you can go out and interview him and get a little bit more information.
Yeah. So that would be our goal, is to get more information. This is all we really know about Chandelier Sound and the Chandelier Islands. And the question is, who built these? That's the big question. And again, we may never know, but we want at least to data collect. That's the most important part of this, is to data collect and to find out what do we know about these. And so if you know anything more, please share it with us. Share if you like the show, share it, like it, subscribe.
Oh man, I was muted the whole time. Thanks, science. Thanks, guys. Sorry, man. Man. Well, at least you get guys. So basically, man, I just said so much. This is frustrating. What I'm showing you here is a book I read, man, from Gary Hancock, talking about underwater ruins. We know it has been proven all over the world, every continent, there's underwater ruins, or sea levels have risen. There is underwater ruins. This is a great book I read back in 2002 by Graham Hancock. It's called Underworld, Flooded Kingdoms of the Ice Age. Way back in 2002 when I read this book, right? Great book. If you guys interested in to know about like, he actually went and dived, guys. He didn't just, he went and dive. He learned how to dive to go to these places. He went to, he investigated all the legends of India, in Asia, like in Americas, all over the place, Europe, Mediterranean, and he went there. He proved it's there. It's a pretty good book, guys. Right? It's called Underworld: The Mysterious Origin of Civilization. So, what I was trying to say earlier is, I don't doubt the sign here. Plus, I know the America's a true old world, and I know sea levels have risen. Why not? They can't explain it. They know it's there. You know, it's there. Oh, I lost like mad people on that audio. Yeah, I lost mad people. It's all good. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of like make you think, because everybody else does, right? There's a person whose motto is, I'm just here to make you think. Not no. I'm just here to well, today I'm just here to make you think, all right? But usually I let you know, I inform you, and I show you the sources. This is something that unless somebody goes there, I'm talking about professional people with equipment, and we won't know. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. But this is it right here, guys. There's something there. There's something all over the world, underwater. There's a lot of underwater ruins. Yeah, Diana, everybody already told me on the, you're, okay, I get it. That a lot of you are like not in the same time. It's all good. Yeah, I got it. I unmuted already, just in case they're behind. Okay. Yeah, but I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I'm gonna leave it there. Maybe you say, oh, he didn't prove nothing, Kurimeo. You just made a video for nothing. Well, I see shorts all the time. I see you guys sharing these shorts, Instagram, TikTok, and it just leaves no context. It's here, look, ancient city, 12,000 years old, and that's it. And then people just kind of believe it, and there's no context and stuff, right? But see, this guy right here is an archaeologist. He's real. It's there, guys. Look what he found. Look at this. Look at that. Come on now. You saw that artifact? That's what he's finding there. All right, it's there. LSU, oldest mounds. Poverty Point, pretty old. That whole area, brand new one, right? The Mississippi, is that the true now? The true river of Egypt? What are we talking about? All this Louisiana, right? Talking about ancient Egypt? The Grand Kabu is free if you have Amazon Audible. Oh, okay. Well, I read it already. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's just a little 2002. He did America Before, way after that. I read his Fingerprint of the Gods book, right? And then I read that one, and I read another one. I forget which one. This was way back, guys. I used to read a lot of books. And he was still trying to figure out. He knew he was basically proven there was a common world civilization that nobody knows where everything came out of. And I knew eventually, if he's a real scholar, if he just keeps, he'll eventually see that it's in America. And when you read his second to last book, America Before, you'll see he concluded that. And you already know what Graham Hancock said. I have a lot of clips about him and what they find in the Americas. And whether you like him or not, this ain't about him. I'm just telling you, as many people we pull the babies out from. We get some drop, we dodge the hijack here and there, but we got to learn from everybody and put the pieces together. And maybe Maybe I'm not proving it, but maybe this video inspires somebody to be that's gonna become an archaeologist and is gonna have clout with mainstream and have connections. They might go eventually, years from now, prove this, right? What we're showing today. Underwater ruins in Louisiana, a lost city, 12,000 years ago, huh? Wow, 12,000 years ago. Real quick. Let's do something real quick, guys. Just for fun. Just for fun. Just for fun. Before I go. All right. You may think, how did he get to that? Because I remember when me and Joseph were doing it, we were like, how do we figure this out? Like, he did it a whole different way than I did. I did it a lot more simpler, I think. I don't know. But we got the same answer. So 2 Peter 3:8, whatever it says. What does it say? That every day for the Most High is actually 1,000 years for us. It's almost like, those space movies. That's how I picture it. Like damn, what's that space movie? Come on. Infinity? You gotta know where they go because the Earth is dying and they have to go to another planet system. And by the time they get there, it's like different time period. Thousands of years have gone past on Earth. Thousands of years have passed on Earth, and for them, it's only been like 20 years, right? What's that? Guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like, either way, a lot of space movies do that, right? In Interstellar, there you go, Interstellar. So that's how I picture this. That's how I picture that verse. Whatever here, like, this is how I do it, right? So everybody says the world is 6,000 years, right? So let's do the math. If a day to the Most High is 1,000 years to us, how many days are in 6,000 years? How many days are in 6,000 years, guys? Who's the math expert there? Because I'm gonna do it, but I just want people to see that I'm not just calculating wrong. So how many days are in 6,000? Hmm? Uh, Interstellar. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna times this by 365, right? That's a year, right? No, hold on. I did it earlier. Oh, come on now. Hold on, let me see. I did it earlier. Okay. So is that correct, guys? Is this how many days you would have in 6,000 years? Anybody can confirm this for me, right? And then what you do, you times that by 1,000, right? Because it's 1,000 for us. Every year for the Most High is 1,000 for us, right? This is my calculation, right? So what am I calculating? I'm calculating based on that, this is my theory based on how I interpret that verse, right? So we're getting 2 point, no, 2,190,000,000. No, hold on. So we got 3 here, then we got 3 here. Yeah. So 2,190,000,000. 2,190,000,000. They say the Earth is like 4 point something billion. They don't, this could be wrong what I'm showing you here, but this is me going off that Bible verse. Again, I'm just here to make you think. I'm just here to make you think. I don't have to be right. I just got to make you think. All right. I just made you think. Hopefully you apply that every time you try to like, Kurimeo, it's 6,000 years only. Well, I guess you're the Most High. You know it all. You're the all-knowing. You're the all-knowing. All right. That's it. I'll leave it like that. I'll leave it like that. I know probably somebody's gonna challenge my math, but how many days are there in 6,000 years? And then times that by 1,000. Okay. And our human years. In our human years, right? Okay. Well, appreciate you guys coming through. All right. We're gonna end it here for today. Got way more videos coming. Don't worry. Probably see you guys tomorrow again. Thanks for coming through today, guys. You decide, is this history or myth? Pura vida, mi gente. Oh, wow. Whoa. My fault. I don't know why that's going so fast. What's going on here? Normal. Oh, my fault. I don't even know I touched that. My fault. Let's play that back. All right. The proper dismount. Oh, wow. Shout out to Chase. Shout out to Science for the beat. The outro.